So welcome once again, everybody, to this Canada Specialist webinar. Millie from Rocky Mountaineer, please take it away.
Thanks, Charlie, and good morning, guys. Appreciate you taking some time out of your day. So as Charlie mentioned, I am here today to talk you through what our 2023 program looks like. As we come out of the pandemic, we get the trains back running and we welcome some Aussies and Kiwis on board. We're super excited to have our guests back on board the train for this year, and then of course moving into 2023 as well. So just a quick recap on where we are operating. So our routes themselves have not changed. So we still have our 3 journeys in Canada, going from Vancouver into the Canadian Rockies, into the mountain towns of Jasper, Lake Louise and Banff. So we've got those 2 2-day journeys and the 1 3-day journey from Whistler through Quesnel. Now on to 2023, and I thought I would really just focus on the launch of 2023 for this webinar. As Charlie mentioned, you've seen me a lot. I've hopefully inspired you to book your clients on to Rocky Mountaineer before, but really what's new and what's changed with our 2023 packages. So our packages went on sale on Wednesday of last week. And what we really focused on when we looked at what our 2023 program would look like was the guest experience, consistency across the packages, and flexibility and free time for the guests. So what we found from a guest experience point of view is guests are really wanting more time in destination. So they're not wanting to pack their bags every night and move on to the next hotel or the next mountain town. And they're really wanting to immerse themselves in the culture and what's available within those mountain towns. We looked at consistency. So we're making sure that we've got a consistent product right across our routes, both in Canada and now down in the US, and also that flexibility and free time. And where that landed us is with some short journeys and then some Rockies highlights. So we now have our classic packages. These remain largely unchanged with the rail journey and then a hotel night on either side of that train journey. We have our excursions, which is 1 hotel night at the start of the journey in Vancouver. We then have the rail journey and 2 hotel nights in 1 destination in the Canadian Rocky Mountain towns. So that's either Jasper, Lake Louise or Banff. We have our discovery itineraries, and this is where we see majority of our Australians and Kiwis will actually sit when they're traveling with Rocky Mountaineer in this discovery grand adventure section. So this really allows guests more time in destination. So we've got 1 hotel night at the start in Vancouver. We then offer 2 hotel nights in 2 destinations in the Canadian Rocky Mountain towns. So for instance, if they're doing first passage to the west, they would start in Vancouver, they would do the train through to either Lake Louise or Banff. They'll spend 2 nights in both of those destinations with an option to extend through to Calgary to finish the itinerary. We then have the Grand Adventure, which is the 1 hotel night to start, and we have 2 hotel nights in 3 destinations. So if they're doing Journey Through the Clouds, for instance, here they would do 1 night in Vancouver, the rail journey through to Jasper, 2 nights in Jasper, 2 nights in Lake Louise, 2 nights in Banff, with the option to extend for an overnight in Calgary to finish off that package. And then we have our circle journeys. So these again remain largely unchanged, with starting and finishing in the beautiful township of Vancouver and connecting 2 rail journeys to do a complete loop of the Canadian Rocky Mountain towns. So all of these itineraries can be done in both an eastbound and a westbound direction. So I did mention there we're starting with that overnight in Vancouver. Of course, we can start with that overnight in Calgary as well before we head through to the Rockies to then do the rail journey back to Vancouver. So as you would have heard, it's a lot of 2-night stays. So we've really removed those overnight stays in the Canadian Rockies. And that's really based on guest feedback from past experience and allowing the guests more flexibility and freedom while set in destinations. So instead of doing 1 night Lake Louise and 1 night Banff, arriving into the destination, unpacking and then packing back up again the next morning, we're basing them in 1 of those locations or both of those locations for a 2-night stay. So it really allows them to add on touring and experiences whilst they are in that beautiful Canadian Rocky Mountain town. We are still including the sightseeing transfer tours. So between Banff and Lake Louise and then up to Jasper, so Banff or Lake Louise up to Jasper, we're still including the Ice Explorer and the Glacier Skywalk. Between Banff and Lake Louise, so if they're moving between those two destinations, they'll still experience a half-day tour of Yoho National Park. And from Banff or Lake Louise to Calgary, we'll include the gondola on the way to Calgary. If they're coming from Calgary back to Banff or Lake Louise and they're doing their itinerary in a westbound direction, we'll be including the Banff gondola plus either a mini Wonka lake cruise or an exclusive interpretive program, depending on the time of year that they're traveling. And then with those 2-night stays, we will have some add-ons that are coming later in the year in our next phase of loading. And your guests will be able to choose from those different add-ons and experiences in destination. Our package overview. So this is going to be a lot of information, guys. Don't stress. I'm going to send you out a copy of essentially what I'm going to share with you today on these different packages that we now have on offer. So for 2023, this slide here includes our rail only, our classic and our circle journeys. These remain largely unchanged. A big difference for our rail schedule, though, as we look at 2023, is we are now including onboard gratuities for all guests. So the gratuities will be prepaid upfront when they're booking their journey with Rocky Mountaineer for the onboard portion of their itinerary. If they are booking rail only, we are also including station transfers from our partner hotels for all guests. So that's in Vancouver, Banff, Lake Louise, or Jasper, where we previously haven't included those. They are automatically included for our rail only guests, just to create more of a seamless experience when traveling with us. Now, looking at our excursions, our discovery, and our grand adventure, and this is what's really changed when we're looking at 2023. So on this first line here, you can see the first passage to the west excursion, Calgary 1. So this includes an overnight in Vancouver, Kamloops, and then 2 nights in Banff, finishing up with an overnight in Calgary. So this is very similar to the first passage to the west highlights. But the change is that we're only including 2 nights in one destination instead of 1 night in each destination. So what we're really trying to do is allow guests more time. And this is what our guests, previous guests have requested from us. We then have our discovery itineraries. So our first passage to the west discovery, overnight in Vancouver, Kamloops, 2 nights in Lake Louise, then a sightseeing transfer to Banff with 2 nights in Banff, and then a sightseeing transfer to Calgary to finish with an overnight in Calgary before they finish that itinerary. Very similar to that first passage to the west at leisure that we had last year and back in 2020 for those of you that still have travel credits for your clients. The grand adventure is 2-night stays in 3 destinations. So our Journey Through the Clouds Grand Adventure, overnighting in Vancouver, Kamloops, 2 nights in Jasper with a sightseeing transfer to Banff, 2 nights in Banff with a sightseeing transfer to Lake Louise, 2 nights in Lake Louise with a sightseeing transfer through to Calgary. As I mentioned, all of these itineraries can be done in an eastbound and a westbound direction. And we do have them right across our package, right across our routes. So whether they're doing first passage to the west, Journey Through the Clouds, or a Rainforest to Gold Rush, they'll be able to find those 2-night stay itineraries, depending on which town they're going to stay in the Canadian Rockies. So just to finish up with our service levels, these have not changed. We still have our beautiful Silverleaf service in our custom designed single level coach. Meals served to the seat by our friendly and attentive hosts. All meals and beverages are included in our Silverleaf service along with the storytelling. We are still an all daylight service and the beautiful gold leaf custom designed bi-level coaches, beautiful windows up to the top of the ceiling with the a la carte dining area down below. So guests are still heading down to that dining cart for full a la carte breakfast and lunch. We are still operating from April through to October right across our product range. So through the spring, summer and autumn times in the Northern Hemisphere. And we have our amazing agent portal that you can access as well. Of course, all of our packages can be booked by your preferred wholesaler, or you can head to our portal for our booking engine, but also any marketing or training materials are all housed in our agent portal as well. So if you haven't been there in a while, I suggest you jump on there and have a look around. We have our 2022 promotion still in market. So I've been talking about 2023, but I thought I would really highlight these promotions. We are still selling 2022 to our Australian guests. So if you have anyone that is keen to jump on board, and quite recently the New Zealand guests have started to book and look at 2022 as well. So we have our Travel the Rockies promotion that will run through until the 29th of April. So book an eligible package and receive $500 off per couple for travel in selected months. In Canada, those months are April, May, and October. So the beautiful spring and fall period of the travel season. We also have enhanced flexibility. So for any guests that are booking, they can receive a full travel credit towards a future booking if they need to cancel for any reason up to 60 days prior to travel. Then finishing up with our Travel Again promotion. Now, we all know guests that have been on Rocky Mountaineer want to go back again. So what we have launched is a brand new Travel Again promotion that goes across our Canada product and our US product as well. So past guests who have traveled with us before can receive a further $500 off per couple in savings. And this offer is combinable with our current in-market promotion. The Travel Again promotion runs across both our 2022 and our 2023 season. And as soon as I have an update on what our 2023 promotions look like, I will be sure to share it on the CSP Facebook page as well. At the moment, we don't have a promotion in market for 23 because we are still very focused on our 2022 season and sales into that season. But as I mentioned, once I have it, I will be sure to share it with you guys. That is it from me today, and I'm under time. So I will hand back over to Charlie